This happened when I was 15, back in 1996. In a small town of about 100,000 people. I lived in the suburbs and went to high school in the city. One afternoon after class, I decided to walk to the main bus station. Instead of waiting at my usual stop nearby, I stood by the gate where my bus, line number 15, was about to depart. Another bus, line number 17, also left from the same gate. After waiting for a few minutes, a man approached me. He asked if bus number 17 had already left. I told him, "Yes, sorry, you just missed it." He introduced himself as Mark and reached out for a handshake. I didn't want to be rude, so I shook his hand, though it felt strange. I introduced myself as Maya, not my real name, but at the time I didn't think much of it. Mark looked like he was in his late 30s or early 40s, and something about him just felt off. I was 15, but I'd seen enough to know when something wasn't quite right. He asked if I had just finished school, and I said yes. Then he asked which school I went to. I lied, of course. He asked if I was going home. I said no, even though I was. He wanted to know where I was going. I told him I was visiting a friend. Just then my bus pulled up and I boarded. But to my surprise, Mark followed me onto the bus. I couldn't understand why. He just asked me about bus number 17. And now, here he was on bus number 15, which didn't even stop at the same places. I sat down and Mark sat next to me. He asked what grade I was in. I lied again, saying I was a junior, but I was actually a freshman. He told me I looked younger than a junior. I said, "I hear that all the time." Then he asked if I had a boyfriend. Said no. He suggested that I should. I asked him where he was headed. He said home. I asked, "But weren't you planning to take bus number 17? He said no, and told me he lived at the end of bus line 15. That was odd. I had never seen him on this bus before. He asked me again if I was going home. I said no, I was visiting a friend. Looking back, I know he didn't believe me, but I thought I could handle the situation. I should have talked to the bus driver, but I didn't. I was scared, and I didn't want to make a scene. We got to my stop. I purposely missed it and got off at the next one, hoping I could just walk home and shake him off. But to my surprise, Mark got off too. I asked him where he was headed. He said he wanted to walk me home. I told him again that I wasn't going home, that I was visiting a friend. He said, "That's fine. I'll walk with you." I told him he really didn't need to, but he snapped back in a stern tone, "Shut up and walk." The street was empty. There were no cars, no people. It was just the two of us. I felt completely alone. And now I was really scared. I couldn't go home. I didn't want him to know where I lived. I froze, unsure of what to do. I was paralyzed with fear. And in that moment, his behavior went from unsettling to downright dangerous. I knew I had made a huge mistake. He placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "I don't have much time, so we should get going." I wanted to argue, but I didn't. I just nodded. He told me if I behaved, I wouldn't have to be scared of him. I lied, telling him I wasn't scared. He asked me if that meant I planned on being good. Said yes. He made me say it out loud. "Yes, I will be good." I started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just kept moving. He walked beside me, his hand still on my shoulder. My heart was racing. I was terrified, but I didn't know what else to do. Then I saw an older man in his garden. It was like a lifeline. The last thing I remember was running towards him. Later, I was told that I was screaming for help, while Mark ran off. The older man called the police, and they contacted my parents. The police couldn't do much, but they took my statement. My parents couldn't take me to school because they both worked, so they bought me a new phone the same day. In the 90s, phones were a big deal. Luxury. I wish the story ended there, but it didn't. A few weeks later, I got on the bus like usual. As soon as I stepped on, I saw him. Mark was there, grinning, like he had been waiting for me. I felt my heart drop. I immediately got off the bus and ran into the school. I called my mom, crying, and she told me to find a teacher to stay with me. After that, the school was notified. Mark was seen hanging around the school several times, sometimes for days at a time. Other times, weeks would pass. The police couldn't do anything unless he hurt me or showed up on school property. So, for the rest of the year, I waited in school until my mom could pick me up after work. She would always take a long, winding route home. I know now that she was making sure we weren't being followed. Eventually, they moved me to a different school. Thankfully, Mark was never seen in my neighborhood again. I'm sure he never figured out my real name or where I lived. I didn't see him again until I was 21. I was back home on summer break, and I saw him in a grocery store, a completely different part of town. He didn't seem to recognize me. He didn't even look at me, but I recognized him immediately. Where I live, there's no public criminal record. I never found out his name or what he'd done. I don't know what he wanted from me, or what might have happened if I hadn't run into that man. But I've always believed he might have had some mental issues, and just fixated on me. My mom thinks it was something darker, that he had a plan, that he knew exactly where I was going. My dad still doesn't talk about it. As for me, I'm just grateful he's out of my life.